Hello there! Intellectual properties deals with the things that are created and gives them certain rights. These include rights for artistic, musical, film, creation of symbols and designs. This also ensures that artists, inventors, designers, and creators in general are recognized and financially compensated for their work. For more information, stay tuned and join us to our Winter Wonderland story!
Copyright law, or officially known as the Public Act Number 8293 or Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. According to this act, copyright is the legal protection extended to the owner of the rights in an original work, which may refer to every production in literary, scientific, and artistic domain.
Art of appropriation is the use of pre-existing objects or images with little or no transformation applied to them. The use of appropriation has played a significant role in art throughout the 20th century and has continued as a valid art form to the present. As an example is the Starry Night. The Starry Night 1889 by Vincent van Gogh is one of the most visited paintings in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. This landscape showcases Van Gogh's love and desire for nature. The Starry Night has been appropriated in more ways than one. Similarly, in this appropriation, in which the majority of the composition has been altered so that the golden arches are completely visible. The light given off from the moon is placed directly on McDonald's golden arch, almost highlighting and drawing people's attention to it.
Artwork can be appropriated in two ways. First, artists can appropriate artistic content, which include artistic elements such as motifs, styles, genres, and similar elements, and to complete artworks. Second, appropriation of art can also be done by individuals who adopt items that they consider to be artwork, specifically tangible creation of one culture.
The appropriation is different from copying or forgery. Copying means trying to duplicate as much as possible, or copying the drawing or an sculpture of an artwork exactly. So forgery is the process of creating, adapting, or imitating of an object. So, to appropriate does not mean stealing or plagiarizing. It is not owning a particular work but just using the artwork in the artist's new context.
A great example of art appropriation is the study of the Son of Man, recreated as the study of the Son of Selfie. Here, the message of the artist is, each artwork is like time machine. It can be a person in the present to the future. Hence, in this picture, the artist substantially represents the current trend during his time, which is taking a selfie using currently trendy device, the iPhone. The artist would also like to express his recognition of the idea of the original artist of the Son of Man, which involves simulating the natural curiosity of a person to seek what is beyond the object in front, while the shadow was used to cast a mysterious personality of the recurrent generation.
Cultural appropriation is the appropriate or acknowledged adoption of an element or elements of one another culture. This can be controversial when members of the dominant culture appropriate from minority culture. So let's take a look at the term culture. So culture refers to anything associated with the group of people based on their ethnicity, like religion, geography, or social environment. This might include beliefs, tradition, language, ideas, behavior, objects, values, or institution. Most often, culture is thought of belonging to a cultural ethnic group. types of cultural appropriation. These are the different types of cultural appropriation: object appropriation, content appropriation, style appropriation, motif appropriation, and subject appropriation. Object appropriation is occurring when the possession of a tangible artwork is being transferred from members of one culture to members of another culture. So it is when one culture is inheriting their artworks to the other member of their family so that the legacy of their grandparents will be remembered for the rest of their lives. Content appropriation is who sings the songs of another culture has engaged in content appropriation. So, when they find it relevant for their culture or style, they will use it because it is interesting for them even though it's not their own. Style appropriation: sometimes artists do not reproduce works produced by another culture. In such case, the artists produce works with stylistic elements in common with the others of another culture. They are the one who will do the same thing as another culture but with different touch or style. Motif appropriation: this form is related to style appropriation. Sometimes artist is influenced by the art of a culture other than their own without creating in the same style. So they will copy the same way how other culture do their style without changing it. And lastly, the subject appropriation. It occurs when someone from one culture represents members or aspects of another culture. So when one member of a culture is giving the vibe of their culture, they will find it interesting because they share the same vibes.
For the example of content appropriation is Akira Kurosawa. So he is a filmmaker, and in some of his films, he borrowed a plot that has the same plot story in William Shakespeare's. The next example is style appropriation. Let's say Western culture. So they adopted a fashion by having a similarity fashion of Islamic culture. However, they were not entirely reproduced. It's just they only got an idea that has a similarity with the idea of fashion of Islamic culture. Lastly is the example of motif appropriation. So example, a musician. So when a musician was influenced by the hip hop jazz of America, he will make a certain composition. But however, his composition of music are not entirely based from the hip hop jazz. So it has only a similarity to the beats and vibes of the music.
Object appropriation. A great example for this appropriation is the paradigm case. The removal of the princess from the Parthenon by Lord Elgin, where he transported the princess from Parthenon to Britain. Simply, the tangible work of art from Parthenon was to convey to another culture. Example of subject appropriation. In 1901, The Hymn is a classical novel work of art is a significant example by the Nobel Prize-winning English author. Rudyard Kipling, since it is all about the chronicles adventure of an Irish orphan in the country of India, in this case scenario, the said Irish orphan represents the aspect of another culture, which is the Indian culture.
Even though cultural appropriation is not presently punished under intellectual property law, it is still possible to derive renderings from design of certain peoples, as well as forgery might very well be subjected to sanctions in a few years. It is evident that intellectual property rights towards art appreciation gives an artist the right credit for their works. To ensure you can create your art without legal repercussions, always know the rules and do some digging before creating and uploading. Finally, the more original your work is, the more protected you are. Be creative instead of derivative. That's where the fun is anyways.